Eriche, they were making fun of our boys, John. E-Rice and Eriche was what they were saying. It was horrible stuff. But they like the voice lines of Nemesis, and John, I might have to admit, I like it too.
Hey, that deserves a bit of shout. Not yet, but shout out to that's our boy Chuplak. That's his lines. Our good boy Chuplak, all the way down from Cebu. Yeah. He did a Polaris lines back in the day as well for their team supporter pack, if you would recall.
I was wondering why it sounded so good. I was wondering why that voice line sounded so. It genuinely sounds so good.
10 seconds.
There you go. All right. I'm buying it, I'm telling you. If they win, I get straight away.
5 seconds.
Yeah, you got it.
But this is the thing, you're also going to buy one. It's like, it's your boy Speed. How are you not going to buy
Yeah,
that?
you can't let that go. A little bit of a yeehaw as well in there in a therapy session. Yeah. Wildcards is pretty sick as well. Lots of versatility in those lines. Would want to grab them. There's a bit of a difference here in the bans as well. We see the Dawnbreaker and the Chen being banned out by Nemesis. Wildcard taking care of pretty much the flavor of the meta. NP, Naga, Marcy along with Beastmaster. And Nemesis will sneak away with a Sand King. So they snag that one away from the side of Wildcard and trying to bring it out. I'm curious if they're just going to stick it onto mid for Mac. It feels like that's where we've really seen the Sand King shine. It always wins out in these mid matchups. It's very hard to bully out.
We're 10 seconds
Its timing in team fights is insane. This build up for, say, Blink Ags, maybe with an intermediary item in between, is just a wild amount of damage. So I do like seeing the setup. For the side of Nemesis, I feel like the ideas from Wildcard, though, going into the Queen of Pain is pretty solid. It's a range matchup into Sand King potentially coming out on mid. This is a matchup where the Quap can feel good. Both the Dagger and the Scream kind of build, a 3-1-1 or a 1-1-3 build or a 0-2-3 build, can be quite nice for the Quap into this kind of matchup, depending on how much you want to push the limit. So I like seeing this coming out for RCY. It's a very early commitment onto the mid. And I will say Nemesis has more flexibility with what they'd want to do with a Sand King. For Wildcard, I mean, the Quap can be played as a support or off lane. It's just much less common nowadays than it used to be.
Certainly is, Jonathan. So what other bans we are going to see? One more from Wildcard. Surprised we haven't seen a Lesh ban, because I couldn't help but I was playing a lot of Lesh yesterday and seemed to be popping off quite a lot on the Lesh track. So maybe just not feeling like they need to ban out some comfort picks here against Team Nemesis, but we should, if they even want to go down that route, maybe just assuming it's going to be the mid Sand King anyway. But I wouldn't be to see Raven take an off-lane Sand King in this case and just pick something else for Mac if he wants it.
Yeah. Again, there's that flex option on hand, and the Leshrac idea is a very strong one to have. Into the matchup of Quap, it's still pretty alright. You're both going to be farming up. Maybe a little bit better for the Lesh if you can get jungle access, if that's something you think about. See the instant pickup of the Pungana as he's draining our lives away, which is a beautiful animation. It's like he gets a free shard going for himself there. We have seen a lot more of this Pugna. This was a hero right before TI. I believe it was being picked quite a fair bit. And it has been showing up as well in TI, quite a fair few picks and bans, as you can see, a very decent win rate of 50%. The sustain this provides is nuts. The ward is just a big nuisance. Here's that specialty for Nemesis. The Filipino Marana comes out for Eris. And now that off-lane idea of Sand King becomes much, much better when you have the Marana threat on hand with even just a level 1 arrow to kind of play into that. So I like this coming out from Nemesis. This is playing into their style quite nicely. They even managed to pick up this Snapfire as well. So this could be the flex that you're looking for in Nemesis. Now putting Mac on Snap, you put the Sand King offlane for Raven, Eris, or Jing on the Marana. And, you have all the setups you'd want. You can kind of flex these lanes as much as you want as well. Again, if you're confident enough into the Quap, you could still keep Sand King mid. You could put Marana and Snapfire on support instead. Keep your hand open for Raven and Akachi as it closes out. There's a lot of ways to bring this draft around for Nemesis.
Oh, there certainly is. Wildcard, of course, still very open themselves with their own draft. What are they thinking about here for their own picks, I wonder?
All right, Dyer's turn.
Actually, just no, they'll go for a Doom pickup first. We have been seeing a bit of Doom here and there, so not too surprising to see this hero picked up, of course. Has been pretty good in the games we have watched it, of course, with that Devil's Bargain facet. Pretty hard to contest. What else would you like, though, Jonathan? I mean, I imagine that's the position 1 Doom we're looking at here.
5 seconds.
It ought to be. I don't think there's any necessity for the off-lane Doom showing itself yet.
Disruptor.
And it makes a lot of sense with its Disruptor pickup as well. Doom would want to chase down. Disruptor helps to set up. We haven't really seen much of Kinetic Fence nowadays, but in a Doom lane that can just guarantee a kill very quickly, even at, let's say, level 2. I like seeing this coming out. We see the Lycan coming out from Nemesis, though. And again, leaving tanks very open. This is here that enjoys going into the Dominator, which has been the meta. This could be our Akashi here on safe lane still. It could be our Raven off lane. Alpha Wolves and Pack Leader are both viable. Actually, I would say Alpha Wolves look pretty good here to chase down Disruptor. Ruin that back line wouldn't be too bad. I don't know if you'd feel comfy with that on pause 1 in comparison to Pack Leader, though, so I'd expect Akashi to kind of just run this on 1. And now, again, your lane setups are great. If you are protecting your mid pick,
5 seconds.
you run a Sand King Mirana lane, you're running a Snapfire Lycan lane with Wolves, easy cookie setups. And there is a lot of aggression from Nemesis early on here. I think for Wildcard, their lineup does have that potential as well. But when it comes down to later on in the game, let's say 6 going to 8 minutes in for the first power rune, second power rune kind of fights into mid, Disruptor and Pugna just don't have that same presence. They're a little bit more passive. They don't really set up as great. The Disruptor more so than the Pugna at the very least can do something. But it just feels better for Nemesis if they are going to look for this early aggression with what they have on hand here.
Absolutely. Final ban to card. They'll get rid of the TA. TB being removed from Nemesis's end. Akashi having a bit of laugh to himself. As you said earlier, Akashi's have been, well, he's played 5-6 different heroes already here in the road to the international playoffs. So, well, Akashi, see how he does perform today. I mean, from some of the VODs that I was watching, it was a little bit on the rougher end yesterday. I must admit, it doesn't seem like, from what I saw, that Akashi was necessarily very used to the Helm of the Dom meta. And I almost want to say it's probably better he just ignores it based off the way he was playing with it yesterday. But we'll see today. I mean, a day can make a big difference.
But it can. I believe there was also a content piece somewhere where he was talking about how overpowered the item is. So he should be familiar. Maybe it's just a case of, again, not playing too micro-heavy heroes. I think the heaviest micro we've seen from Akashi is maybe something like his Terrorblade and microing the illusions, which is really just 8 clicking down the lane for the most part, or 8 clicking to camps and spreading them out. So I'm sure that's something you can adjust to.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way I saw it. You know, just plenty of opportunities where the creep just wasn't being microed. He wasn't using enough cooldown, things like that, Jonathan. But you know, again, brand new day. Maybe it was just an off day for him with that item. We'll see. You know how these carry players don't like to micro, Jonathan. All they do is click creeps with their one hero. Even though the mantra illusions usually just get left alone to do nothing.
Yeah, it does look like Wildcard is expecting Akashi here to close out, though. They banned that TA, they banned the Dusa. Nemesis banning out some Yamson here as well. Been taking care of the Sven that has been, again, looking pretty strong in the few games we've seen it pop in. Now it's time for Nemesis to make that choice. Will you run Lycan 1? Will you run Lycan off, locking in Sand King mid? And they'll go with that Luna pick for Akashi. So not going to be a Dominator build-up, at least as far as I can tell. It doesn't generally feel good. You farm fast enough. Well, it still works, to be fair.
He did buy a Dom on Luna yesterday.
10 seconds
That's what I'm talking about that I really didn't like. I did not like the way he played it, though, but it worked. But that game, Mac just carried the game. I'm just going to say it outright. Yeah. Mac literally 1v9 that game. So, we'll see what he does on this Luna.
Yeah, I think the lane setups are maybe not as ideal. I think now you're actually looking at just running perhaps the Snapfire Lycan lane up top. You're running the Luna Mirana lane, which can still kind of play around with Arrow. Likelihood is you're just going to be maxing out Starstorm as per usual and harassing that way. There is some good tempo here from Nemesis, right? Like, you think about double Dominator timing coming in. If Akashi will go back into that build, there is a lot of push just having Luna and a Lycan on hand. And I think that's going to be something Wildcard has to be pretty careful about. They have some ways of stopping the rundown from the Lycan with the Disruptor and with Decrep at the very least. There's some options there, but not the steadiest. Tide Hunter comes out as well. Wildcard, and I do like that in response this push, and it is a tied one as well for Yamson, which we've seen far more often nowadays. This hero it actually does scale in a very ridiculous way. It really enjoys going up against all of this summons, all of these illusions as well. Laning into a Lycan's going to feel really darn good here for Yamsun. Going for the Vladsville, he's almost going to feel unkillable at that point. And I like how Wildcard has kind of responded to this high pressure. Yes, their lineup is kind of cooldown line when you think about it. Ravage, Doom are pretty long cooldowns. Static Storm a little bit less so. Early points in Sonic Wave is a little bit longer as well. So their response time to Nemesis being aggressive might not line up as much in comparison to how fast Nemesis can play around their skills. But they can deal with these creeps, right? Like Anchor smashing away on the Wolves and on a couple of dominated creeps makes easy work of it. And Ag's build up here for Yamsun could help out as well. You've got AoE clear even on your supports, especially on speed with a Pugna. So if you can hold against the onslaught here for Wildcard, you've got some pretty good solutions to deal with all of these tools that we're looking at from the 15 to 18 minute mark in terms of looking for these fast objectives coming out for Nemesis. The key thing here for Nemesis is, again, their lane setups are pretty nice. I will say that the one that just kind of stands out as maybe being rougher here for Nemesis is max mid. Like RCY and Quap with bondage up, there's going to be a lot of damage being reflected back. Again, it's very viable to go for the good old Scream of Pain build, or even the Dagger, either or. You probably lean towards the Scream a little bit more, just because you're not going to have access to your Sentry every single time. There's a chance that Mac can be on point in denying and clearing out the Sentries, so your daggers might not connect as much. But we'll have to see. I think this game feels like it's going to be dictated for both sides
You look
from
like
the mid,
you look scared.
and you can already see the side of Nemesis. As we're already in, they're already spanning out the Lions.
Oh, there it is. I wonder why they're using John's voice line. I wonder why. Jeez, so supportive
Don't hate the
to
game.
buy your voice line, John.
You don't hate the game,
So supportive.
you know? Yeah, they're so supportive, these players. Wow, they truly care. They truly RCY's got
in another
there
line.
you go.
You're like a sales tactician, you are, Jonathan. In another line, you could have been a great salesman. You could have. Here we go. Wildcard.
Oh.
They're heading down towards the south into the Radiant Jungle, where you could find a Kashi, but he will break the smoke and immediately runs away. And they will not be able to get within range for anything like a glimpse back here onto a Kashi, so a nice smoke break from him. Nothing to amount here for Wildcard, apart from bounty runes, of course. And it does seem like chances are Nemesis just might completely avoid the fight altogether. It does seem like the level 1 timings of Wildcard are just a little bit scarier. Wildcard, though, still going to try and posture aggressively.
And those other guys, but let's have some real talk here. They're about as useful as a sack of damp towels.
Copper Nether Blast doesn't really get the bounty rune either, so a nice little start here for Wildcard. 3-1, a little bit of a bonus for them. Meanwhile, Yamsun, he's going to take a bit of, in fact, a lot of damage on his way out. So Nemesis just not allowing him the freebie into the walk back up to the top lane. They are going to just kind of abuse him and force that TP. And gosh, you'd love to find another kill into this Tide straight off the bat if you could, but you're playing Lycan Snap, so chances are you aren't going to find that kind of damage.
Not quite yet. Maybe by the time you have the cookie and you can poke away just a tad bit, the Wolves aren't going to be as effective in that lane. Because again, you're into Pugner, you're into Tide with Anchor Smash. The damage just isn't there for right-click trades. Taking a gander at that mid, as we're seeing right now, there is some big potential for trades. RCY does commit for the Shadow Strike, so chances are we are going to see the 3-1-1 build. And the Sentry has been dropped by Mac, but the one thing here for Mac is that Sandstorm cooldown is pretty significant in lane. Every time he tries to walk up, trying to leverage that caustic finale, RCY is ready with the trades back, and this can be a rougher time for the Sand King if you're not careful. Again, the range advantage is already big for RCY. He's got a lot of good poke back. The bondage makes it a little bit hard as well, returning some of that spell damage back, so it hurts Mac equally, kind of forcing some regen out onto him as well. Rune control is going to be a key part. Again, this first power rune is going to be a big spike, and that's where you really shine on Nemesis. Like, this laning phase can go as back and forth as it wants, but you get maybe a faster 6 on Mac, and you lead it into the 6-minute timing with rotations from a Mirana and a Snapfire. Things can go crazy very fast on mid, if you have that room to kind of rotate around here for Nemesis.
I'm just very curious, like looking at these the opposing carries, like neither one's queued up a Helm of the Dom this game, so at the very least Yamson's definitely not going for one based off the fact that he's queued up Radiance. Meanwhile though, we haven't seen much of a queue up of anything for... No, he is going. He's queued up the Helm of the Iron Will, so it looks like chances are he is going to go down that route. And there's John Expire coming in as we need him. Is Mac's going to jump out of there. He'll be just fine for now. But it is a bit of a rougher lane here for Mac. What I was going to say, John, I would have anticipated Yamson would be going for the Helm of the Dom instead of the Luna this game. But in fact, Yamson, he's in trouble. Yamson being chased down at the moment.
You're in the
Wolves will not be enough to get the job done. They'll leave him be. Meanwhile, Jing does also end up getting taken down. In the meantime, they do at least get something for their Troubler's speed. Just focuses on the opposing support.
He's just able to blast away. No one here can really clear out. The Nether Warden's drop down. You don't really have a little Shredder up on Jing just yet either. So speed can just get aggressive, drop it forward.